This episode of the Grappler Union podcast is brought to you by Diamond MMA. Start protecting your boys with the best groin protection on the planet. Black belts such as Gary Tonin, Eddie Cummings, and Joe Rogan all trust their family jewels with Diamond MMA. Enter the code Grappler Union at checkout and save 15% off all your Diamond products. Go to diamondmma.com today. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Grappler Union Podcast. Paul Maloney alongside Anthony Zito. On this episode, we have Mark Turner in studio. Mark is a black belt under Demian Maia, and he's the owner and head instructor at Mark Turner Jiu-jitsu. Also in studio, Demian Maia's jiu-jitsu coach, Wagner Mota, who's a 4th degree black belt under Eduardo and Fernando Terere. Enjoy.
8 to 6 minutes. That's what happens in that 6 minutes.
You told me, using any technique that works, never to limit myself to one style. Keep an open mind.
We're not here to take part, we're here to take over.
In order to become more peaceful, in order for you to become better and strategize your life.
All right. Yeah, so Daniel Vienna told us to have you in studio, Mark. You guys are good buddies?
Yeah, I've known him for a long time, yeah.
How do you guys know each other?
Just through jiu-jitsu. I was telling you there, when I started training jiu-jitsu, I was 17. You're talking like this was the late 90s. And Daniel and his brother had come, just kind of recently had come from Brazil, and we used to go, they used to have fights in Chicago, and the old time guys listening to this will know St. Andrew's Gym in Chicago. They used to have like...
Yeah, they do the Golden Gloves there still.
Yes, they do the Golden Gloves there, but they had like the old school Vale Tudo type fighting, kind of no gloves and just, you know, in the ring and all that kind of stuff. And Daniel would fight at those events. So, I mean, I've watched him and known him since 17, and then his 2 of his nieces actually train at my academy.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, and last year we competed at a couple of events together in the IBJJF and all that. I mean, I just know Daniel for a while.
Yeah.
You know.
And where's your academy at?
Naperville.
Okay.
Yeah, Naperville.
When did you start that up?
I started it. Let me see. I think it was like 2007. And I mean, we've been in a few different locations. We were at the LA Boxing in Naperville for a while, and then we were at Overtime Wrestling for a while. And then Damian used to do a lot of his fight camps at Overtime with Sean Burnett and John Kading and those guys there. He did all his wrestling there at Overtime. And then the last however many years, I've kind of just had my own place, and we just recently moved to a big facility. So it's kind of good. The academy's growing, jiu-jitsu's growing, and the academy's growing, right. And obviously what Damian's doing helps a lot, you know. So
yeah,
but yeah, it's good. I mean, we always have guys in. Wagner's always in. Damian was here last summer. We did a camp. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, Wagner, congratulations on the win last weekend.
Thank you very much.
Damian looked great, man.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what he's going to do, and you just can't stop it.
Yeah, that's what it comes down to.
Yeah,
it's amazing. So do you work a lot on that game plan? I mean, is that much of a game plan? Just, I'm going to take you down and choke you out.
Yeah, how you said, everybody knows our game.
Yeah.
Okay, but nobody feel this game.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
And what we practice every day, details,
Mm-hmm.
and one sequence, one process to transitions, positions all the time. So the guy, sometimes you try to defend one position, but not one sequence of position.
I see.
This transitions is our difference. Right. We don't stop. We want to grab, and for most of those fighters wants to punch them in. Mm-hmm. And we want this. We want this motions for us grab them.
Okay.
So We train a lot every time, and we are training against strikers since the beginning. You know, the guys who train against Demian just training when they make the date of you will fight against Demian. Then the guys start to training jiu-jitsu, grappler. It's different.
Yeah.
Defenses, trying to figure out, how can they just not get tapped out or choked out? It's
just
tough.
Not get taken down, I think, is the most important thing. Because there's just no catching up to that level of jiu-jitsu. You could train as much jiu-jitsu as you want, but...
Yeah, no, I mean, I've rolled with Demian a lot. And, I mean, knowing Demian, I've been able to train with some really good people, right? The who's who kind of thing. And, and I've competed a lot and rolled with some good guys. And Demian's just different. Just his pressure's different. Kind of how he sees jiu-jitsu is different. I mean... there's something about how he sees the game and how he, is on the mat. It's just different than a lot of other people.
Yeah. And you're a black belt under Demian?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was Demian's first, or I am Demian's first gringo black belt. First black belt outside of Brazil, yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
So,
where are you from originally, Scotland?
Scotland, yeah. Yeah.
And when did you come to the States?
I came in 1992 for the first time with my mother's job. So I came over here, I was really young. And then just kind of through her working, we were able, to stay here. And I mean, I'm a citizen here now. Don't come and get me or anything like that. I'm legal, no. But no, yeah, I've been here kind of on and off since 92.
That's cool. And you go visit back home often?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, and there's some... academies there now in Scotland, like jiu-jitsu and MMA is really popular now in Scotland. It's a small country, like 6 million people, but a fighting culture, obviously. So there's some academies there, and when I go there, I do seminars and stuff there.
That's very good.
So, yeah, it's good. It's good to go there and be able to kind of take what I do here back there.
Yeah, absolutely.
What's the scene like out there?
The guys, they train really hard and they compete a lot, right? Like the guys who come to Brazil from Scotland to the academy, like Dave, and they train really hard. But right now it's just a little raw, There are some guys in the UK, like obviously, Roger Gracie's been there a while, Braulio's been there for a while, and having that kind of caliber of guys in the UK has really helped. But still, up in Scotland, it's pretty raw. But the guys are eager, so it's good.
Yeah, same thing in Ireland. It's a pretty small scene up there right now. I mean, it's blown up now because of McGregor. Everyone's kind of everyone's eyes are on it now. So, but there's still not a whole lot of black belts.
Right.
I mean,
right. So how did you first meet Demian, and how did that all...
I met Demian through training, and then...
Training here in Chicago?
Yeah, training, and like just seminars, training, all this kind of stuff, and then we just kind of became friends at first. Like I was training with another kind of group of guys, and Demian and I were friends and just kind of had some similar interests and stuff.
Okay.
And at the time where I was training, there just kind of was problems with the team. Not me having any problems, but just problems with the team. And he's like, man, it's kind of, and I was training like twice a day, and I was training a lot. Like I'd train till like 11, at night kind of thing, go home, sleep, get up, train again. Yeah. And he's like, man, that must be hard, like just kind of with all that going on and all this. I'm like, yeah, but I have to train, And he said, well, he says, then this was after a while, he said, well, we're friends, you can come and be part of my team, And at the time, I think he had just the guys from Finland. He had some affiliates in Finland, and I think that was it. And so then it was basically, obviously the academy in Brazil, but then me here, and then I was blue belt at the time, so I took the purple, brown, and black belt from Demian. So
yeah,
wow,
very awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Man, that's incredible. So training with him, it's a long time to be training with him, right?
Yeah, I mean, this was 2006.
Wow. So
UFC.
that whole, when he got in the UFC, and then through that experience that he had with, when he was he at one? What was the weight? 170, where you started to knock people out at one? Was it 170 or no?
Well, he started at 185.
185.
Yeah, because what happened was 2000.
Oh, yeah, that's right. 185. He was then little. That was a little too big for his.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, here's what happened. 2007, he won Abu Dhabi, right?
Okay.
And then came back here, and he fought 10 days later at Helson Gracie had that event on pay-per-view, the Gracie Fight Challenge, right?
Okay.
And so 10 days after he won Abu Dhabi, we did like a quick MMA camp here and went to Ohio, and he fought there. The guy he fought there the guy's name was Ryan Stout. And that card, it's funny, a guy contacted me on Facebook last week with like a memory about that card, but like Jacare was on that card, and I mean there was like tons of guys on there. Vinny Magalhaes was on the card, like tons of guys. Yeah. And so he won that, and then it was soon after that he got the call from the UFC, and his first fight was Ryan Jensen. And again we did the camp here and piled in a car and drove to Cincinnati, and he ended up choking out Ryan Jensen like right away. But he was at 185, and I remember like he was only cutting like 5 or 6 pounds in the beginning. So he was small for a middleweight. And then, I mean, I was there in London, cage side when he threw Chael Sonnen on his head, and Chael Sonnen's big for 185.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, but then it just got to the point where those guys were just too big, like Nate Marquardt is huge, and Anderson is huge, Chael Sonnen huge. So when he went to 170, now Damian's the big guy,
right?
At 170, like if you see Masvidal, I said to him on Friday night last week at the weigh-ins, I said, man, Damian's much bigger than Masvidal,
Yeah.
So that's really kind of helped him, especially with his pressure and his technique as well. Like, size doesn't matter, but size does matter.
Yeah. Right.
Right.
And how's the weight cut for him?
Now it's much better because he's more accustomed to it now.
Yeah.
And Damian habits of every day helps a lot with this. His habits are develop in food, train, resting. Though nowadays it's easier to fight in this category.
Right.
So easy.
Yeah.
It's not we crying for this.
Yeah.
Right. At the beginning, we have we are adapted.
Right.
Yeah, and improving. And nowadays it's easy to stay on fit, strong, and motivated to fight.
Yeah. For sure.
Well, especially when you're going to be going for a title.
Yes.
I mean, that's a pretty good motive. I mean, I think he should have got it a while ago.
A long time ago. Yeah. So, I mean, after his last victory, he said, "That's it. I'm not fighting unless it's a title shot." Right. So, what changed in his mind?
This process to improve ourselves, all the team, is not thinking about the title, but thinking to improve ourselves for next fighting all the time.
Yes.
And it's not, we don't try to do this, we do this.
Yeah.
We're thinking, and now, what we are doing now to be better tomorrow, every day. Yeah. So we don't talk about the title, we don't talk about anything, but when they match one and the next opponent, then we talk about the next opponent. Mm-hmm. If it'll be title, okay. If not, let's fight and let's work to win.
Right. Now, is this like a decision that you guys all make as a team, or does Damian say, "Look, I want to take a fight," or does he talk to you guys about it?
No, we decide like a team.
Okay.
At the beginning, Demian was when Demian started to make this team. Demian had the decision. Then when we make and we close the team, then now we change.
Right. Now, did you guys find it risky to take the fight in the event that maybe Demian would have lost, he wouldn't get the title shot?
Sorry again, please.
So he was probably in line for a title shot,
Yes.
but if he would have lost to Masvidal, maybe he wouldn't have got the shot.
Yeah.
Were you guys considering the risk there?
All the time, you are a jiu-jitsu fighter, you practice, and all the time what you choose is risks.
Right.
It's not an correctable way or correctable way. It's more risks, less risks. Okay, so when you put your mind to make focus in what are you doing at that time, you don't thinking in those, oh, if he lost. Okay, just thinking to fight to that day, Demian will be the better day in his life.
Yeah.
We all the team work for that day. Every one of us will be the best day in our lives. If the guy can beat him, okay, we continue. No, our purpose is show that jiu-jitsu can be there, can dispute, can win, and continue to be a grappler and to be a jiu-jitsu fighter.
Right.
And we don't change our who am I.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I respect that so much because nowadays, especially in the UFC, everyone's looking for that big money fight, and they're turning guys down, and they're choosing their opponents, and they're always
based on popularity.
It's
Right.
a lot of business decisions
Right.
versus like, I'm a warrior, let's fight.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
I think that has a lot to do with just the overall average base pay, and the time that they have to fight. So if your overall average base pay is, say, I don't know, 50,000, let's just say, and that's not a lot of money. Where you look at baseball players and you look at what do they make? Millions.
Yeah.
So
And you could play baseball till like 2 years after you're dead.
So I think it's just I think once the money catches up, it'll then equal out the sport where it's like the best guy will fight the best guy as opposed to being a popularity contest. I think that's what it has to come to. Otherwise, we're gonna keep seeing these these fighters who maybe don't deserve a shot or who just talk a lot of trash, and there's no need for all that.
There's a problem though because the UFC has a lot of guys who want big money fights, like you said, and who maybe deserve big money fights. But the UFC knows they can go out and get a bunch of people to fight for the minimum, and the fans will be just as happy. And that's kind of the issue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
For someone's martial arts is for show, for play. For me and for our group is one kind of education.
Yeah.
And so we just can be. It's clear for us what UFC wants. It's so clear for us.
Yeah.
But we don't change what we believe.
Right.
We believe in this kind of life. We believe in jiu-jitsu, and we believe that we can do everything with this.
Right.
So we continue.
Yeah.
And we are keep going.
And this is from someone 30 years in jiu-jitsu?
Yes.
30
Yeah, he's
years.
like Yoda.
Yeah. Yeah. Now you started out in Brazil. How old were you when you started jiu-jitsu?
Oh, nowadays I have 53 years old. Yes, and in São Paulo state is common. You start with judo. All the schools kids has judo for discipline, Japanese discipline. Our parents thinking about this, and then we start with judo. I like judo, but jiu-jitsu is more fun.
Yeah. Right.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, we keep hearing that. Getting thrown is not fun.
Yeah.
So,
So you were being thrown as a young man all the time, and then you moved up. So is it like an automatic thing? Like, okay, at a certain age, then now you do jiu-jitsu, or does it you just wanted to do jiu-jitsu and then you started doing it, or is it like a certain you have to reach a certain rank in judo?
And I'm my first contact with jiu-jitsu. I work in an academy. I was a personal trainer in one academy, and I was competitor in judo in the state, and then open a big mat there in that academy. And what is this? It was so big for judo. No, it's coming. Marcelo Bering from Rio is a black belt from Rickson Gracie, but for me, it means nothing that moment.
Okay.
So this guy, when I tell this history, he's died in 1995, and this guy changed all my life. He used this tool, this jiu-jitsu, for wake up us courage, wake up us child, play like a child, wake on us a warrior, a peaceful warrior.
Right.
Yes.
This guy show us that you can be secure to yourself, efficient, and happy with this martial arts. Then it changed for me. For me, martial arts was a Japanese discipline before this. Then it makes I will change for those martial arts. But Marcelo Bering is his guilt.
Right.
That's awesome. So then you continued your jiu-jitsu, and then how did you meet Demian? How did you get on that team?
Oh, yeah. When Marcelo died, I'm looking for other. I love it to compete, and I'm looking for some master to continue my career. Mm-hmm. So I had a very luck because Fábio Gurgel went to São Paulo. So I went to Fábio Gurgel. At the time, is Fábio Gurgel Jiu-Jitsu don't existed alliance in that moment. Mm-hmm. So Fábio Gurgel worked at that moment with Silvio Bering, the brothers of Marcelo. Then they worked together. So good masters, best on ones of both of them best in the jiu-jitsu. Okay, I got in that academy. So when I was a brown belt in 97, then came to this academy one blue belt, Demian Maia.
Okay.
I think his first class I gave him there.
Oh yeah.
Then we start with this our friendship. Okay. Then I continue this at that time it was Alliance, and this brand has some some group, not brand but the group changing for Alliance and changed to Master. Then this Master changed to TT, Brasa, and Checkmate. Okay. Then open other groups.
Right.
And then we separated.
Okay.
At that moment, I prefer to I was Fernando Terere coach. Then I prefer to continue with Fernando Terere and Eduardo Teles in TT, and Demian preferred to continue with Brasa.
Okay.
Then Eduardo comes to SA. Fernando Terere was sickness. Have a sickness problem.
Terere's problems.
And then I start to training in Demian's gym just to practice jiu-jitsu because I love. So Demian was in UFC, and he at that moment he had his first loss against Nate Marquardt.
Yeah.
Then when he come back, he asked me, "Oh, Wagner, could you be my master, BJJ master?" Oh, in that moment, I think, it will be. I love it to learn jiu-jitsu. I think this jiu-jitsu is a big puzzle, and everyone has some pieces.
Yes.
Not only black belts. Everyone has some pieces. Some ones have 2 pieces, 3 pieces, more pieces.
Right.
And with Demian, I can return, because when I train with Marcelo Bering, I can practice jiu-jitsu in Rio in any academies, because Marcelo is in São Paulo. With Demian, I can train with Demian everywhere, and we contract the best fighters all over the world to share knowledge, and coming other ones, many best fighters all over the world come to share, to train with us. So I thought that moment, and it happens. Nowadays, I can contact all the world like a chain with this job with Demian Maia. Yeah. Well, Demian has an open mind to try and to receive new techniques.
Yeah.
Then we are continuing growing up with this.
Right. Yeah. But I mean, your jiu-jitsu career.
Yeah.
You've seen the evolution, but still, like, the basics is what's working always. There's always it's always the basics that work. It's just, no matter how fancy you see a move on Instagram and it looks really good, it comes down to the basics. Know your arm bars, know your rear naked chokes, and that's what it comes down to.
If you observe, Demian was our best teacher of self-defense jiu-jitsu.
Okay.
So it helps a lot. If you watched Demian against Sonnen, that movement is one movement of self-defense. So the triangle and the end, no. But the beginning, the takedown, it was one of those self-defense techniques. And we believe in basic. We believe. And the other things important, Demian always training jiu-jitsu for MMA. So what is the difference? You don't waste time with other guards. Because some guards you don't use in MMA.
Right.
Spider guard.
You're not using spider
It's
guard.
impossible. Okay? So he all the time he starts with half guard. When he trained in the beginning with Vitor Belfort, then he understands that close guard, Vitor Belfort punch him, and half guard was impossible to punch him.
Right.
Then we are developed and believing and give safe confidence in those techniques. But everyone's when you saw someone and you're watching someone in one ultimate fighting, and you watching and you feel that is easy, and that guy make simple the fundamentals, but this guy is very, very good.
Right.
You think, or you watch and say, "Oh, I can do this."
Right.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. Everyone says that.
Yeah.
It's so ridiculous.
No, it's funny. So, like, we're obviously, like, half-guard players, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you know me, you know my academy, you know my guys. I mean, I just had a guy, he just won the Chicago Open, one of my black belts, and, he's a half-guard player, and a guy from the Pan Ams had texted his opponent in the Chicago Open and said, "Watch out for the guy's half guard." So, like, people know, like, half guard, right? And we have we do a lot from the half guard, a lot of development from the half guard, all this kind of stuff. But if you watch with Demian, we have we kind of call it like, I'm terrible with names. Like you said, you train at like 10th Planet with all the names, and I'm always busting Eddie on the names, right? Because I'm like, I don't even know names. It's like this position, that position, and all these funky names. But so we, like the first 2 half guard sweeps, very basic, very simple. And if you watch Demian, those are the ones he does, right? I mean, on Saturday there against Masvidal, the half guard sweeps, that's like the number 1 in the sequence kind of thing. And that's the one he gets, right? And whether it's Nate Quarry, any of the guys going all the way back to those kind of fights with Demian, you know, it's the basics that of the sequence. Now, if you need to take him 10 positions deep, he's ready, right?
Yeah.
But if he can sweep you with step 1 or 2,
Right.
That's
so crazy.
That's all we need there.
Right.
That's great, just to have that sequence together. Just, I'm going to get you eventually.
Well, and that was my thing. So, like, when I started training with Demian, I mean, when I started playing jiu-jitsu way back in the 90s, it was basically closed guard, right? I mean, the half guard was considered the half mount. There was no offensive half guard. It was if a guy, you know, pushed a leg down and stepped over and you were in half guard, you had to do a hip escape and get back to full guard. And it was all closed guard and all this. And then for me, I like to play open guard because I watched a lot of BJ Penn at the time. And he was, you know, I mean, he never got his guard passed in competition, right? I mean, and I was like, I want to have a guard like that that's just really difficult to pass. But, you know.
Is that an actual fact?
Yeah, he never got his guard passed. I mean, he got his black belt really, I think it was maybe even a week or 2 before he did the Black Belt World Championship. And he went through that whole division at the World Championships in Brazil and won. He was the first gringo to win, right? And nobody scored a point against him the whole tournament. I mean, he was incredible.
But his dexterity has to do a lot with that. I mean,
he was just, he's one of those guys that, like, jiu-jitsu is so natural to him.
Yeah.
You know, and like it's difficult for him to teach jiu-jitsu because it's so natural. He just doesn't understand why you can't do what he does.
I think jiu-jitsu is so natural. Then I told about wake the child. Because you play with your cousin, your brothers. When you are a child, the playing is like jiu-jitsu.
It is, yeah. It's funny to watch little kids roll. Little 4 or 5 year olds. Like, and it's like, oh, they can never get hurt, you know?
Right.
And they don't get tired.
They don't get tired. Yeah. Don't talk to me about young people not getting tired.
Yes, I understand.
You understand. We had a competition. Paul and I competed last week at Grappling Industries.
Okay, yeah.
It was our first round robin tournament for both of us, and we didn't do very well. I lost all 7 of my matches. I got armbarred in the second match. So the first match I lost by points. The second match I got armbarred, and it was pretty bad. I should have stopped after that
because Anthony said my elbow's all crunchy.
Yes,
and I said that don't do any more matches. And he said, "Nah, I'm going to finish the tournament."
So they just keep giving you more matches, or what?
You have to go against everybody in the bracket.
Oh, you go against everybody.
So the reason
that's all right though.
It's okay, but the problem is I'm 41, and there's no one 41 that's 135 pounds. Yeah. So I went down to the adult division. So I'm facing 18 to 29 year olds. They don't get tired. They put a whooping on me. Now they're all great guys, but
they're 20 years younger than you.
Yeah,
like he's a blue belt in 41 and what 130 pounds, 35 pounds. So in order for him to get matches, he has to go to the adult. But I'm always telling you, you would have a better shot of winning if you just bumped up a weight division. Yeah, that would be easier than fighting the younger guys.
Yeah, I can't. I won't do that anymore. They're just way too much energy.
They're like
they don't slow down.
Tasmanian devils on top of you.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. Yeah, I got.
Yeah, but use like my advice, or what I would say is, then just take it and try and so now you know what you're getting into.
Right. Yeah.
And say, okay, so what can I like Wagner said, what can I learn in my game that I do or that I don't do that can either, you know, if you say, look, it's unrealistic for me to keep up, no problem. There's the other side. How do I neutralize them? What can I do, or what am I not doing that could slow them down? Or
Right.
And it's there. There's something, right?
Right.
There's something, and that's your challenge then.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, and you can do one of two things. You can say, okay, no more of that, okay? Or you can say, let me figure this out. And if it takes you a little, and that's what jiu-jitsu is, right? Like, you know, we always talk, and I say to people, I say, look, if you train jiu-jitsu, you will be a better decision maker in everything you do in your life. Because all jiu-jitsu is just a series of decisions. And you make them, you know, like, if you ask your wife, what do you want to eat for dinner tonight? She's going to say, oh, whatever you want. And you're going to name 10 things, and she's going to say no to all of them. You say, well, then you pick. I don't want to pick, you pick. I just named off 10 things, and you can't pick one. We don't make decisions as people, right? It's difficult to make decisions. But when you train jiu-jitsu, you know, that 5-minute round that you do in the academy, or 10-minute round, it's 10 minutes of nothing but decision making, right? And so you just need to make other decisions to deal with those kinds of opponents. And that's your challenge in jiu-jitsu right now.
Right. Yeah.
You know, as a 41-year-old, 130-pound blue belt, that's what you have to do. That's what jiu-jitsu is for you. Is how do I figure this out in my jiu-jitsu? Right.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And we are talking about jiu-jitsu and about Demian Maia. Demian Maia is the older guy in the category. Yes, 40, almost 4 years.
Yeah.
Yes, and it's half guard is very secure.
Yeah, we're biased to the half guard.
Yeah, I saw him pull half guard on Masvidal. Yeah, just because his wrestling looks great too.
Yes,
Damian's. Yeah.
Very well.
Where does he train wrestling at?
We train nowadays in Edge in Hoboken, New Jersey.
Okay.
He was coming here because my academy was at what year was that? Like, you know, do you remember? Like 5 years ago or something? Mm-hmm. Was at Overtime, and like I said, John Kading and Sean Bourmet, like legendary wrestlers, right? Like Sean Bourmet at the time he had just finished coaching the 2008 USA Olympic team at the Beijing Olympics. I mean, and all the top guys from wrestling would go there, like Jake Herbert. All the top guys in wrestling would go there to train. And so I said, Damian, you have to come here for wrestling, you know. And he would come, and that's where we started with Damian's wrestling training. And then Sean got offered a job coaching at the University of Michigan, the wrestling program there. So he moved, and obviously, you know, when he's in off season, he's, you know, recruiting for people to come to the college and all this. So he didn't have time. And Sean said, hey, there's this guy in New Jersey,
Dave Esposito.
Yeah, go and train with them. They'll be good for you as well. So since Sean took the job up at University of Michigan, Damian and the guys have been going to New Jersey for wrestling training. And he loves wrestling.
Yeah.
He always is like
read the book, watch the videos.
Like Dan Gable and all this, right? Like he would read all the books of Dan Gable and like study Dan Gable.
We met Dan Gable in one event.
Yeah.
Oh, Damian!
Like
screaming, cheering.
Yeah. And did Dan know who he was and everything?
Did Dan Gable know who Damian was?
No.
Yeah, he watches all the documentaries and all this stuff. He was like crazy about wrestling, and then when he got to come and actually start training with these like real American wrestlers, you know, he was like, oh, this is he loves it.
Yeah. And did he pick it up quickly?
Oh yeah. I mean, the single leg he does now is really tough to stop. You know, his single leg is really, really, really. I mean, you see, who is he not taking down?
Right.
You know, and that's kind of always the knock you hear about jiu-jitsu guys in MMA. It's, well, yeah, your jiu-jitsu might be good, but can you get the guy to the ground? And with Damian, that's not a problem.
I think it's the best takedown in the UFC nowadays.
Yeah, I think Frankie, I mean, they keep those stats now, eh? They keep stats for everything in the UFC. Yeah. I think Frankie Edgar has more takedowns by number, I think, but I think percentage-wise, Damian's up there, yeah.
So you're not really worried about Woodley and his wrestling pedigree?
Do these guys look worried?
They don't look worried at
No,
all.
I mean, you never. It's not a worry. It's just okay. What does he have to do? And the way, okay, so the way they train is, it's pretty intense. And I'll share this because it's not giving away any secrets. But the system of how they train, it's not just Demian training. What will happen is, so Vagner will come up with a position that they want to kind of experiment with or develop, right? And he may give it to a bunch of blue and purple belts and say, hey, go and do this for the next 2 days or whatever, and then come back and let me know where the strengths of the position are, where the weaknesses are, this kind of thing, right?
Okay.
Then they may take the idea to another academy, like a friend's academy, and try it against a bunch of guys who don't know it's coming, see where the strengths, see where the weaknesses are, and build these ideas. So then by the time it finally gets to Demian and he says, hey, Demian, do this and do it this way, it's already kind of been field tested by however many people, right?
That's great.
So it's not like Demian has to do all this work by himself.
Right.
And I mean, really what they're coming up with as a team is tip of the spear type stuff as far as development goes.
Right.
You know, it's unbelievable.
I think it will be a good match, very hard. But if you watch all those fights, the last fights of Woodley, he won by punch.
Yeah.
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 The grappler is his plan B. It's
Right.
not his first plan.
No, it's not.
Yes. Then we know about this grab in this fight, because our plan is our first plan is grab him. Then we know what happens.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, how is he size up with Damian? Is he bigger? He looks super thick.
I think he's
Woodley.
shorter than Demian.
Is he shorter?
Yes.
Oh, he is shorter.
Higher,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah.
All right. Because he's got to walk around heavy, Woodley.
Yeah.
He's got to be like,
Now, Damian's on what, a 9-fight win streak? 10?
7, I think.
7?
Is it 7 in a row? For wins, Demian 7, right? 7 wins in a row.
Yes.
7. yeah.
7.
So,
Or it's 7 in the division, I know.
in the division,
No,
I think.
no. 7
Total.
No. In this category.
Yeah.
Oh, now we have in sequence 7 wins.
7 wins, yeah.
Yeah, and we win Korea again, and for 11.
Yeah.
11-fight win
Yeah.
streak, right?
Yes, in
That's-
this category.
Yeah, that's. So why do you think the UFC pushed him off for so long? Don't you? I mean, everyone said, especially in the jiu-jitsu community, everyone was constantly saying Demian Maia, deserves the title shot. Do you think that they think that his fight style isn't exciting enough, or why did they push it off so long?
I think people don't understand jiu-jitsu, right? Like, they don't understand, how could Masvidal not get Demian off of his back, kind of thing, right? It looks like, Damian's just holding him.
Yes.
Okay, but Masvidal's there as well, right? If all Damian's doing is holding him, then get out of the position. You know what I mean? But the average fan, especially in America, just wants to see what? They want to go to the bar or get a bunch of buddies over to their house and watch two guys punch the living daylights out of each other, right? That's what they want, right? And Demian didn't throw a punch on the feet against Masvidal. And he's had a couple of other fights where he never threw a punch on the feet. And, look at what with Condit and look at with Gunnar Nelson. I mean, you're talking just 3 rounds of just being on a guy's back. I mean, it's unbelievable, right? And then getting the submission at the end or whatever. People don't understand how difficult that is because they've never stepped on the mat, right?
That's
I mean, you guys know, you watch it and you're like, man, that's to be on a guy's back that long. I mean, I tell my students all the time, the back is the best position in jiu-jitsu, right? I think more than the mount, because when I'm on your back, you're not even looking at me, right? I'm behind you. You're really vulnerable. But if you notice, and you probably notice this from your own training, and maybe from your own jiu-jitsu, you get to the back, but how long do you keep the back? Not very long, because that guy is only thinking one thing: I need to get out of here. Right? And so you do all the work to get to the back, and you're only there a short amount of time. So if you don't finish fast, the guy's going to escape. You know, Demian's on your back for 15 minutes, and you're not escaping. It's unbelievable. But the fans don't understand. And so the UFC, you know, even though Demian does market himself well, I mean, he's been recognized and got bonuses from the UFC actually for growing his social media at a big rate. And obviously in Brazil, he's very popular, right? I mean, in Brazil, TV,
and his English is getting better.
His
and better.
English is good, yeah. And I mean, and fans love him. I mean, whenever we're anywhere, fans love, you know, and clearly guys who don't train jiu-jitsu, when they do come, but for some reason they just, you know, and he doesn't talk. He doesn't build up the fight, right? You can say whatever you want about him or to him, and he's just not going to do it. And I think that's kind of the problem. And they sit there in the interview, right? And you see the little clips of just the guy talking. You don't hear what the guy says, right?
Right.
And they're trying to wind you up,
right?
You know.
Yeah.
And he doesn't play the game. Hey, the guy's a good fighter, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
I'll do my best. He'll do his best, and he's good. We'll see what happens. And they don't want that. They want Conor McGregor, or they want guys that are gonna say things.
Right. Yeah.
So, but I don't know. I'd rather watch 10 Demian Maias.
Yes,
you know?
I think UFC shows for all of the world on TV what is jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
It's to kneel 20 years, 23 years old. And what we watching before, only strikers fighters. In Brazil too, the same. Only on TV is just box.
Really? That's
before.
Oh, before. Okay.
Yes, before. UFC grow up jiu-jitsu in Brazil too.
Yeah,
grew up. So it's important for us, but nowadays is in the beginning. We will compete for the title shot, but this is the beginning of this MMA.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I understand where they're coming from, though, right? I mean, they look at it, they don't really care about fighters. They care about their fight promoters.
Yeah.
They care about making money, right? But I guess our point as jiu-jitsu players is always there's more to what you're trying to do than what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
There's a whole... What made... We're looking at the poster, right? UFC 1, what made it so good was you had so many different things going on each match that, hey, I want to see how a jiu-jitsu guy can handle a boxer. Or, you know, and now everybody trains everything. We know that. But, you know, being able to be someone like Demian or, you know, some of the other fantastic jiu-jitsu players and that have been in the UFC, being able to see them use jiu-jitsu in the cage against these big punchers or kickboxers, it's impressive, you know?
Yeah. It's impressive, very impressive. And then, you know, growing up in Brazil, with being surrounded by that history of jiu-jitsu, you know, from, you know, Hickson to, you know, all the Gracies, you know, does growing up, do they talk about that? Is that something that's brought up a lot, jiu-jitsu, when you're a kid or the kids now? Is that something that's brought up in schools? Is it talked about a lot? Is it mentioned about the history, or is it not really as popular? As like in my mind, I think that every kid in Brazil is doing jiu-jitsu.
Right, it's their national sport.
That's like their sport.
Yes.
But is that not really the case?
No, not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet, because the parents thinking about the discipline is Japanese, not the Brazilian jiu-jitsu.
Really?
Our story in jiu-jitsu show all of the world with news about fighting, street fighting, night fighting, anything. So this image of jiu-jitsu make this prejudging. Nowadays is different, and Demian Maia make this difference. He's humble, his gentleness, he's a journalist, then make us this image different.
Yeah, that's good.
I think after teenage, jiu-jitsu is the first one.
Okay.
But before this is other.
Soccer.
Yeah. So,
So that's got to be
yeah.
big.
Nowadays, the child when watch on TV an idol, a Brazilian idol champion. Oh, I want to be a fighter like him. Yeah. Nowadays, it's hard.
Yeah. Yeah. With people like Anderson Silva.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Aldo, José
yeah.
Aldo,
José
Anderson, Minotauro.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
All those guys. Anderson's not living in Brazil anymore, is he?
I don't think so.
I think he
I
moved
don't
to
think so.
California.
Yes.
Yeah. That's too bad. That's all right.
And what are you doing in Chicago, Wagner?
Oh, I'm giving class in Naperville in Mark Turner Academy.
You're doing a seminar?
Yes,
Oh,
Saturday, tomorrow. Tomorrow we have seminar there.
Okay, great.
What are you going to be teaching?
I'm jiu-jitsu.
Half guard.
Secrets. No, what I show that I talking about is some seeds, some motions for you develop in your game.
Okay.
I think jiu-jitsu is something for yourself. Okay, then I show some connections, some transitions, and risks, but you use this to make your laboratory.
Okay.
Yes, that's my
Nice.
way to share my experience.
Yeah, it's smart.
That does make sense.
Yeah, the way we train is kind of different. I mean, nowadays, anybody with a camera and an internet connection is putting stuff all over YouTube, right? And it's
Right.
all techniques, right? Where the way Demian teaches and Vagner teaches and I teach is more like the principles. Because if I can connect your game to principles of jiu-jitsu, 10 other techniques that I haven't even shown you yet. And then when I do show you, hey, it's the same principle as this other one that we did, and you make that instinct, your body and your mind makes that connection because it's the same. If I just show you 10 different techniques, you may never understand how they all connect and how they relate.
Yeah. Right.
And that's one thing Damian's real big on is, learn jiu-jitsu by the principles. Simple things even, like, the concept of if your elbow's close to your hip, you're strong, and the farther you separate that elbow from your hip, the weaker you get. So
Right.
I can use that offensively and defensively, right? Hey, this guy's strong in this position. What do I do? How do I stop him? Do I try and match his strength, or can I separate his elbow from his hip? These kind of things. Hey, I'm weak. How do I get stronger? I need to either connect my elbow to my hip or my hip to my elbow. And it just kind of layers from there.
Interesting.
I was explaining how is our soul, Brazilian soul, that develop these martial arts. For us, for Brazilian, the misdirection is more impressive, is more important than the goal.
Okay.
Then we start to make some techniques. You put focus in all details, make everything tight. Okay, no. The next level is what powerful I need to do for that guy or movement for that guy. Give me this. Not I use faster or strongest to across his guard or to sweep him. No, what powerful for the others or which side, and what powerful I give him for he give me back this, and then I use. So is this? I think the second level is most important. You give a space for your opponent. For us, for example, is a secret. In half guard, I need to give a space for my opponent to punch me. When he start to move to punch me, I have space.
Yes.
Right.
If I grab so tight, nobody moves.
Nobody moves. Yeah.
So I need to make this, and I need to understand risk, because I'm open this risk.
Right.
And then I feel Jiu-Jitsu is not with our eyes, with your skin. The skin gives me information quickly, and then I move. So it's what we use, not the techniques. I need to know the techniques, but how can I give a space for my opponent give this place? Jiu-Jitsu is like you win the territory.
Yeah.
Yes,
Right.
but I need to give territory to get to win all of them.
That's
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah, that's a good way of looking at it. That's
Yeah,
fascinating.
like this way that I watching, I observe Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah. Man, what time is that seminar? Is it still open?
Yeah, right?
No, come by.
Sure.
Man, what time is it at?
10:30.
10:30.
Yeah. This isn't going to air till Tuesday, so we're the only ones that can get the
Yeah,
secrets.
we're the only one that got the information.
You
But
get the secrets.
You
But,
expecting
yeah.
a lot of people, Mark?
Yeah, there should be a lot of people there. Yeah,
Yeah.
but no, come definitely.
Yeah,
yeah,
good.
yeah, I think I'm game for that.
Yeah. And what about you? You still competing, Mark?
Yeah, last year I competed a lot. I traveled all over for the IBJJF. I think I did like 22 divisions last year.
Wow.
It was like basically from May or June until I think it was November I competed. And then I stopped because I stopped at the end of the year, like in December, because my wife was pregnant and now my baby's been born, and so I'm not going to start this year until I think September will probably be my first.
Okay.
I'm going to do the DC Open.
Okay.
And maybe some things before that, we'll see kind of how I feel. But I kind of was like, I want to spend the summer with the baby.
Sure,
and
yeah,
do
of
all this
course.
stuff. But I'm training a lot now, training hard and all that. But I like competing. I mean, I like traveling. I like competing. I like seeing, I mean, for a while there, though, I was every week. I mean, there was a stretch. I'd fly on the Friday night, compete Saturday, Sunday, fly back on Sunday. I'd be at home until Friday again, and then fly again.
Wow.
And it was like 5 weeks, and then maybe a week in between. And it was a lot, because I like to just do a lot, and it was funny because one of the weeks I was in Seattle and I lost. The guy there had really good, he had a really good De La Hiva grip on me, right? And I was like, man, I could not break this guy's grip. And I mean, come on, I know how to break a De La Hiva grip, right? But I was like, this grip is crazy. And then that next week, he came to my academy. And I said, Vagner, you have to help me. This guy had this grip, and I couldn't figure this out, right? And so he said, we have this new position, this guy in the academy. And he showed me this pass from the De La Hiva. And we trained it, I trained it crazy all that week. I said, man, and I got to, I think it was Dallas was the next one. So I was I came home for a week when he was there, and then the next week I went to Dallas, and I'm sitting there and I'm in the bullpen warming up. I'm begging. I'm like, please let these guys go to the De La Hiva,
Right.
And then nobody did the first day, but then in the second day in the Nogi, the guy went to De La Hiva, and I drilled that thing so much, and then I passed in. So I mean, I like competing like that, because you can, if you do a tournament and you do well or you don't do well, and you have some things you want to fix, if you don't compete for another 3 months or 6 months,
right,
you can't really quantify that last tournament. You can't really see your improvement. You kind of can. You want to work on it, but I kind of okay, I'll take from September through December, and I'll try and compete every weekend.
Yeah.
And if I have to fly from here to wherever, I'll do it, because then every week I can make those improvements. And I've noticed that since I've started competing that way, my game's got a lot better, and I've been able to develop a lot of things in my game much better because of that.
Yeah.
Now, that's interesting. Now, that last year, was that the first time you decided to do kind of like an IBJJF circuit
Only,
thing?
yeah, because now there's so many events,
Right.
And people say whatever they want to say about the IBJJF. The IBJJF is our federation, and it's where you have to be, right? I mean, there are a lot of other good events, but the IBJJF is the constant, right? And it's what I like about it. It's the same everywhere you go, right? So if I'm in New York one weekend, Charlotte the next, Dallas the next, Seattle the next, everything's the same. It's not like I never have the fear of I'm still gonna, I arrive at the venue at 10 and I'm still gonna be sitting here at 8 o'clock at night waiting for my division to go. Kind of,
right.
what I mean? Those horror stories, or a bad referee, right? These kind of things that you run into with smaller tournaments. Do referees make mistakes? Of course. The referee is the hardest job in sports, right? But you're getting kind of a solid product,
Yeah.
And I like all the good guys go to those events. I'm getting contacted now a lot about these kind of super fight
to win
things.
stuff like that.
These kind of things. Yeah, and I like that idea as well.
Too.
I like that idea as well. So,
did you get contacted for the last fight to win?
No, we're gonna have some guys next time they come around, and maybe in some other cities as well.
That's good.
And then the guys from XFO Grappling
Okay.
contacted me as well, so I'm interested in those as well. So yeah, we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, this year September, basically through the end of the year, I'll probably do a lot.
Okay. So when you said you did 22 divisions, does that mean like you did your division and then the open division?
Yeah. So if I place, I always do the absolute.
Okay.
And then
why is that? Is there a reason why you do
I
it?
like it.
You just like
I like it. Yeah, I like.
But what if you don't place?
Then you can't do the absolute.
You
have to place to qualify.
Yeah,
so I just like it. It's different. You know? Yeah, it's different. It's a different feel. I mean, a lot of people are like, nah, the big guys, I don't want to get hurt and all this, I've never been hurt in an absolute, right?
Really?
I mean,
Okay.
yeah.
I always thought about it, and I'm like,
No,
I think you understand in Jiu-Jitsu. When I was talking with Rillion Gracie about I trained with him when I was young. Marcelo Bering asked me, training with him some 1 month, because this guy is fantastic and he is fantastic. And what he was explaining me, that the family, the Gracie family, start when they are child, they are kids,
right.
And the family, those are older, fight against them, and then they start to learn defensive. When they grow up and stay with 18 years, 20 years, and then he has a powerful like a man, then he knows to defend. Oh, now it's my time to attack. So Jiu-Jitsu was growing up for small persons. This is important. You are understanding Jiu-Jitsu when you not overall, but you go to the next category. Then you understanding. It's not about size.
Right.
It's about motions.
Motions.
This techniques that he told, I will show tomorrow. And it's about this. Nowadays, our Jiu-Jitsu is changing, transforming with you, with your body. Oh, my body has less stretching or flexibility or powerful. Then you need to change your Jiu-Jitsu too. Oh, that Jiu-Jitsu when I was 26 years old is other one.
You're right.
Now nowadays, there's like these techniques. I give the sweep for my opponent, but I give in a position that I will sweep and or pass guard or submit him. But I give 2 points for him. Those is another idea. I give him some space to conquist all the fight or all the game.
Right.
Yeah. So because my age. Nowadays, for me to compete, to understand, to continue to practice, I need to change my jiu-jitsu too.
Right. Do you still compete?
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
fantastic.
yeah. Now depends on our fights. Yeah, next August I intend to fight against my older guys, world master in Vegas. Yes.
You're gonna go to Masters?
Yes, I intend to do. Depends on Demian against Woodley, yes.
Right.
But it's my project. This.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing when people, especially small guys like us, don't want to do, say, absolute or whatever, or don't want to compete in general, is they think too much about, can I win? Or, you know, the guy's too big or whatever. And I mean, I used to think like that too. You compete, you want to win, of course, right? What's the point? But I kind of started putting my focus on not worrying about, say, winning or losing, and just more about like, okay, I'll go and I'll just play good jiu-jitsu, and I'll dot all my I's and cross all my T's and play good jiu-jitsu. And I think that if you focus on that, you're going to win more than you lose. You know, like it just kind of, the probability plays out that if I'm doing everything I'm supposed to be doing and I'm not doing the things that I'm not supposed to be doing, the results will pan out my way. And it does work that way. You know, I mean, you can almost, thinking about winning, you can almost make yourself lose sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, and it's outside of you could have won, but you kind of made yourself lose because you're so worried about it, right? Or you say, oh, okay, yeah, my coach has convinced me to go do the absolute, but I'm worried about getting hurt, and you know, oh look, now I've won 2 matches in the absolute, now I have a heavyweight guy kind of thing, and then you're like, oh geez, and then that's the time you get hurt, and then you kind of self-validate that then, and you say, I'm not doing the absolute again because I said I was going to get hurt and I got hurt.
Right.
Where if you just were thinking about, hey, just go out and play the jiu-jitsu I'm supposed to be doing, right, you're going to be protecting yourself as you're attacking or as you're trying to be offensive, and you're not going to get hurt. You might win, you might lose, but you're not going to get hurt, kind of thing.
So do you look over at the scoreboard or the time or anything?
No, I mean, I don't play for, and I tell my students this as well, like the points and the time limits and the rules are what we have to have events, right? You can't have unlimited time.
It's got to be law and order.
Yeah, and that's fine. And if your organization has certain rules, like, you know, I don't agree with the IBJJF, say, knee reaping rule, but that's the rule. It is what it is, right? And if I'm going to do that event, it is what it is. It's no big deal. Like, do I think you're going to destroy someone's knee if you pass the foot over? Of course not, right? I mean, of course not.
Yeah.
But that's the rule. But I don't really care about points. I'm always looking to finish the fight. And not only that, I'm always looking to advance my position. So let's say I'm lucky enough to be up 8 points to 0, and I'm in side control, or I'm in your close guard at the end of the match. There's 30 seconds left, and I'm up 8 points to 0. I'm still trying to pass your guard. And I don't care what the score is. I don't care that I'm up by a lot, and I don't care that there's only 30 seconds. I'm in a jiu-jitsu match, and my objective is to always be advancing my position, looking to finish, you know. And I'll tell my students that as well. Look, hey, if you're stalling at the end of the match and you're winning 1,000,000 to 0, I'm going to be telling the ref to warn you for stalling. I want to see you
advance,
doing what we are supposed to be doing, right? Because that's what the game is. And because how many of us sit and complain when 2 guys are doing something like the 50-50 and they're trying to win by 1 advantage. Or the guy goes out there and he's not even trying to finish his sweep. He's just trying to get the advantage and then stall the rest of the match.
Yeah.
And now that's in the rules. You're more than welcome to do that. But I don't ever want my jiu-jitsu to be like that.
Right.
And I'd rather lose trying than win by doing nothing.
Let me say something. Jiu-jitsu against jiu-jitsu, the competition, is different of jiu-jitsu against other fights. Okay, jiu-jitsu was a defensive fighter. You defend. You keep yourself safe all the time. So the beginning don't have time. So those guys, I continue to protect me, and in one moment I will shot and submit my opponent. At the beginning, the hands was not protecting, so the guys can punch because broken his hands. Right. So when they protected his hands, then something changed. Now and they make the competition with less time. Mm-hmm. So UFC change for strikers.
Yeah, right.
Yes, but is important. You know that jiu-jitsu is a defensive fighter. You can make survive all the time and protect yourself. Then, if you want it, you submit the guy. You can control or you can submit.
Right.
Depends on you. Then, in this way, the master, the teacher, is giving education for you choose what is the best decision. I will break his arms or no. Where I stop to do this, because I'm so confident. I know about myself. I'm okay. So this jiu-jitsu have this inside of it. Mm-hmm. But competition is different.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I definitely respect the way you compete, Mark. You know, that always progressing. Has that ever kind of come back to bite you in the ass, not being strategic?
Yeah, I mean, there was a time in the summer there where I lost at the end, where I could have stalled, and at the end I gave up an advantage. The guy almost swept me. I popped back to the top, and it was tied. But I was trying to win the match, right? I'm trying to pass the guard and win the match. I was on top. I was passing earlier. Would the referee have given me the referee's decision? Maybe. They tend to do that with the top guy if you're passing, right? But I wanted to finish. I was in the guard. I wanted to pass, and I gave up an advantage and I lost, right? I mean, but I don't think twice about that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's no big deal, because then what do? Next week, right? I mean,
right.
Or if that's a semi-final or a final, then I go do the absolute that day. So, I mean, I don't think twice. I have no problem. And I think, and I noticed this, jiu-jitsu and MMA as well is the sport where you get done competing against a guy, and afterwards you're hanging out talking with the guy. And I do notice that people tend to, respect you more or be more open with you if they see that you're doing these things,
Right.
Like, hey, you lost or you won, but, you played good jiu-jitsu, right? I mean, if you guys have competed a lot, you've seen that guy that goes out and wins the whole tournament, and all he does is take the guy down and hold him. And then that guy wins, but you're like, I watched that guy do 4 matches, and it was ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
But you won the tournament, right?
Right.
But is that how you want to win? I don't want to win that way, right? Why didn't you try and go to the mount? Why didn't you try and finish the guy? Why did you just take the guy down and hold him for?
Right.
And on the losing side, it's the same. Hey, he lost, but he has some good jiu-jitsu. You know what I mean? Like, that guy was always trying to win. He was creative. He was always trying to attack. And hey, he just ended up losing. He'll compete next week.
Right. Yeah, it happens. I mean, it happened in my first IBJJF tournament. Mm-hmm. In the no-gi, I was controlling that match, but I didn't point. Like, I didn't know that. It was my first IBJJF, and I just got to learn how to play in that rule set.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't. If you're one of these guys that comes out, and not you, but like, if there's a guy out there and he comes out and his thing is, hey, look, the rules are there, and I'm going to take advantage of the rules, and I will, try and score a point. And if I get my 2 points or I get my 3 points the first time I score, then I'm just going to try and add advantages after that. that's within the rules. You're more than. I don't knock somebody for doing that.
Right.
It's just not the way
Not
I
the way you want it.
choose.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
It's just a different idea. It's not any better, any worse than anybody. You know, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like we both signed up for the same thing. You know, if he wants to rack up advantages,
Sure.
stop him from racking up advantages.
Right,
Then, you know, so.
Right.
Yeah.
But no,
I love competing. I'm a little upset with myself that I got arm barred, even though I had verbally tap quick, but I haven't been able to train
Yeah.
for the past 5 days.
Yeah,
So,
see, that's no good either, right?
I
So
know.
here's a funny story about Demian, right? And a way how he coached me. I was a purple belt, and there was I was passing the guard a certain way, but I would run into I'd get triangled a lot, right? In training and all this stuff, and then it's I'd have to try and escape the triangle and all this kind of stuff. And so I said, Demian, show me. I need some triangle escapes. Show me some triangle escapes, right? So he said, okay. And so he showed me he's like, okay, so when you're in the guard, do this, do this, do this. I said, all right. Not a triangle escape though. Just basically showing me position, being in the guard, how I'm passing and all this, right? And so I'm like, all right. I said, yeah, but show me a different triangle escape. He says, well, let me see what escapes you're doing now. So I showed him, and he goes, okay, we'll do this. And then again, he didn't show me a triangle escape, and he's showing me different positions and passing and all this. And the third time I said, man, come on. You know what I mean? I'm asking you, show me if I'm stuck in the triangle and I'm in the triangle. The guy's got his legs locked and I needed another escape. He goes, if it's there, just tap. Right? You messed up. I'm showing you how to get to the point where you're never there.
right.
You know, if you're in the triangle and the arms crossed over and your head's turning purple and you can't breathe and, it's so tight, tap. The guy will let go and you'll escape.
Right.
Right? But at the time, I didn't really see it. I wanted him to show me some mystical triangle escape that I didn't know, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, whatever, purple belt, good triangle escapes, right? I mean, you know how to escape a triangle. But I missed the point. And his point is, no, when you're passing, put your body in a position where you're not ever going to get triangled.
Right.
Yeah.
Instead of coming through recklessly and there's that probability that you are going to get caught. And, since then, that's the idea. That's how we think about jiu-jitsu.
It's fantastic. Yeah. I need to not get arm barred.
Yeah.
I'm just, because the gi for myself is pretty new. I did no gi for the past 2 years. I just started gi in January. So
You're used to slipping out at arm
I'm just
bars.
no big deal. Come on. He had the fabric, and I watched the tape, and I'm looking, and I'm like, he's had it the whole time. He was setting up the whole time. He had it. I didn't even know he had it.
But here's how you have to think about it. You have to think all those times no gi where you thought you were escaping the armbar, you really weren't escaping
I was
the
not.
armbar.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's why the gi is so powerful.
Right.
It's so powerful.
And that what I took away from it, because I had 8 matches and I won 2 and lost 6, but I won my first match and then gassed out and lost the other 3, and then I had about a half an hour break until no gi started, and I won my first match, different guy, and gassed out. And so what I noticed is I got to work on my cardio, or my gas tank, or just not go so balls out for the first match, realizing, hey, I got another fight in 5 minutes,
Yeah. Yeah, that round robin, it's interesting,
It's the first time I've done that, so,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I liked it.
You win or you learn, right?
You win or you learn.
Right, so that's what you
and
always
that's
say.
good too, because for instance, you could go to the tournament, have 1 match, lose, and you're done.
Right.
I mean, if you got 8 matches, that's a lot of experience, tired or not tired, right? I mean, it's experience being tired. You still have to learn how to compete when you're tired.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, so that's great experience in those 8 matches.
Yeah, absolutely.
On all kinds of levels. So
I think there's a story of most of our black belts competitors. Always, every one of us passed the same thing, the same story. Every one of us have scares like you.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
But
jiu-jitsu, right?
What is different? we continue.
Yeah.
We keep going.
That's right.
Then you go to the black belt.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll get there. We'll get there. So are you sponsored by anyone or?
The guys at MMA Warehouse always kind of help me.
Nice.
Live, Love, Fight helps me. World Martial Arts, Paul Veely with all the DVDs. I've helped him on a bunch of projects before, like Ryan Hall's DVDs and Damian's DVDs and all these ones, so he helps me out a lot. And then one of my students helps me out a lot getting to the events and traveling and hotels and airfares and all that. So I'm very, very lucky to be able to kind of travel around and compete. So
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
That's awesome. Yeah. Do you have any sponsors too? Reebok.
Shout out to Reebok.
Shout out to Reebok right now.
everything's Reebok.
Everything. He's wearing Reebok.
After the fight week, I wear this.
That's it.
They don't give it to him though; he steals it. No.
Yeah. Good. I'm glad. So, where can people find you guys on social media?
The website for the academy is markturnerbjj.com, and I'm on Twitter. I think it's at Mark Turner BJJ, and then Facebook. The academy one is Mark Turner BJJ in Naperville or Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I don't know.
What's the address?
I'm terrible with social media. I know how to post stuff. Like if I have an opinion, I'll post it.
Right.
But don't ask me where to find me because I don't know. I just know how to like
Right, it's all
say,
saved in the
I'm
phone.
sending this. Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, markturnerbjj.com. Everything's on there about the academy. We're in Naperville. And then, my emails, if you email there, it gets to me and I reply to all the emails. So, we're pretty approachable on Facebook. You're Wagner Mota?
Yes, Vagner Mota.
With a
Vagner.
W.
Portuguese.
With
Yeah.
a W, right?
Yes.
Damn it, I've been calling him Wagner the whole time.
Wagner.
Yeah, Vagner.
Yeah, but to us it's Wagner.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Or Big Wagner or Uncle Wagner or whatever.
Mota.
Yeah.
I answer.
You'll
Yeah,
answer.
he'll answer.
Well, I really appreciate you guys coming out
Yeah,
and
of
doing the
course. Thank you.
podcast.
Thank you guys so much.
And
Thanks
I
for
look
having
forward
us.
to coming to that seminar tomorrow.
Yeah, come on by.
Oh yeah, I'll be there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to know the secrets.
I'll wrap my
appreciate-
arm up a little bit, but I'll be there for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you guys
Thank you
again.
guys.
Yeah, no
We'll see you
problem.
guys.
Thank you.
Welcome.
All right, bye. Thanks for joining us on another episode of Grappler Union. Siri, how can our listeners find out more info?
For more information about Grappler Union, you can visit them on the web at grapplerunion.com or follow them on Instagram and on Twitter at Grappler Union. Like them on Facebook at facebook.com/Grappler Union. Also be sure to subscribe on iTunes. All episodes are available on the Grappler Union YouTube channel. Be sure to subscribe. Anthony, I really enjoyed the podcast. Can't wait to hear the next one.
Thanks, Siri.